And welcome to the Allen Americans podcast. Tommy Daniels here. Pleased to be joined by the former voice of the Cincinnati Cyclones, and the reason why he is now the first ever voice of the Seattle Kraken. Welcome, Everett Fitzhugh. And Everett, I got to ask you, if somebody would have told you a month ago that you would be the voice of an NHL team, you would have said what?
So a month ago, I probably would have thought it would have had a good chance to happen because I was in the middle of the interview process. But if you had said this 6 months ago, I would have thought you were crazy. If you had said this at the beginning of COVID, I would have thought you were crazy. But no, I mean, this is obviously something that I am just so very fortunate. And it's been a dream of mine ever since I was 18 years old to get to the National Hockey League. And, you know, I'm sure as you know, Tommy, as a lot of broadcasters around the league, we all have that same dream of getting to the NHL. And this was something that I knew that I wanted. And I'm very, very fortunate and very, very lucky, I guess, in some parts that it played out the way it did.
Your story is very unique, and one that's honestly, it's a fairy tale. People, they dream about having things like this happen to them all the time, but guys reach out for jobs every year in the NHL. It's very rare that someone reaches out to you for a job of this importance here. So, tell your story of first of all the article that was done by the Athletic, and then how the call came about, and how you are now the voice of the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, it started back in February. Ryan Clark, who is the Colorado Avalanche beat reporter for the Athletic, put me did a profile on me. The Athletic was doing a Black History Month feature throughout the month of February, and Ryan profiled me for that series. And Todd Leiweke, who was the CEO of the team, read the article, and he reached out to me. He said he was inspired by my story and wanted to hear more about me. You don't really expect an NHL GM or NHL executive, I should say, to reach out to you. So I thought it was spam when I first got the email, but followed up on it, and we had a great conversation. We kept in touch, and I thought that with COVID hitting, everything was going to be pushed back a little bit, but he emails me right in the middle of COVID, mid-May, late May, and says, I know the world has been turned upside down a little bit, but we're still building toward 21, and very interested and wanted to know if you would like a position here, if you still were interested in a position here. So, of course I was, and we started the official interview process. So about 2 Zoom calls, a couple of phone calls, and a flight out to Seattle later, I got the phone call about a week or so after the 4th of July that I've been officially hired.
What an amazing story. And I know you've got to be proud, not only being the first Black play-by-play guy in the National Hockey League, which I definitely want to hear the stories of how many people have reached out to you, but your family has to be proud. You're a part of history, my friend, but you are a great broadcaster. There's no doubt about that. We've enjoyed listening to you over the years that I've worked with you in ECHL, and obviously developed a friendship, and I think we have a great group of guys. You're a very, very important part of that, and I think you give hope to other broadcasters at this level. We've always been told, well, if you want a job in the NHL, you're going to have to be, you have to work in the American Hockey League to get there. Well, that's not true. I had a former NHL broadcaster tell me one time, Tommy, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in the ECHL, whether you're in the USHL, or broadcasting in the American Hockey League, if you are what they want and you fit the mold of what they want as a broadcaster, it doesn't matter what league you're in. And I think you give a lot of guys like a Jack Michaels hope that that job is out there for them someday. And you know what? We couldn't be more proud of you. Now, I got to admit, I'm selfishly, I'm going to hate to lose you because I loved, visiting with you, or whether it was going out for a Pepsi on the road or here. I always enjoyed that. But man, am I proud of you? And you deserve it. You've worked excuse my French, worked your ass off to get where you are and do what you've done. Tell us about the people that have reached out to you since you were hired as the first ever broadcaster of the Seattle Kraken.
Well, but before I get into that, Tommy, thank you so much, man. That honestly, that means so much to me, and I've been very fortunate this last week, and ever since it happened, I've had so many people reach out to me and offer so many encouraging words and messages of congratulations and attaboys, and it really means a lot to hear you say that, and obviously I'm gonna look back on my time in the ECHL very fondly. I'm not just saying this, but Allen will always be one of my favorite road trips to go on. I'm one of those sadistic people who don't mind spending 20 hours on a bus. I don't mind the long road trips. So I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, if you will. But man, it's been an absolute blast and an absolute pleasure to call this humble broadcaster from Western New York a good friend of mine. And it doesn't end here. I can promise you that. You know, there's still going to be text messages. And if the Kraken are in Dallas, it's a short drive over to Allen. We'll make an appearance. We'll come watch some ECHL. So that means a lot to me, man. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Well, you know what? It goes without saying, and you know what? Like I said, you're one of my brothers in this league, and you know we've shared a lot of great stories. One of my favorite moments, obviously from last year's trips, I should say, was you know the wonderful sports bar right across the street from the Red Stadium.
Yeah, Holy Grail.
With all the memorabilia on the wall in there, and just having a great time hanging out with you, our trainer Jordan Dutton was there as well, and you were so gracious. And I'm going to miss things like that. But like you said, Dallas is just 25 minutes down the road. You can bet your bottom dollar when Fitzy and the Kraken are in town, I will be there. Now, I think one other thing people need to know about Everett, his personality is electric. And one of the things they're looking for in Seattle is somebody that can sell the team, somebody that can get out in the community. You are one of those people, my friend, and you have the rare gift that people are attracted to you because of your electricity that you give out when you're around people. And I think even we'll go back to the league meetings in Vegas. I missed, unfortunately, the one the year before, but you were the greatest storyteller. You have a personality. You're funny, you're witty. You know, you have all those things that I'm sure Seattle was looking for, because let's be honest, buddy, you are the guy that's going to be selling hockey to Seattle. A lot of people don't remember back in the day when they had the old team that was, God, I can't tell you how many years ago. It was obviously before I was born, but reintroducing the sport of hockey by the professional level to the city of Seattle. What do you think that's going to be like? Have you had any thoughts about how you're going to handle that when you go on these talk shows and TV interviews that are coming your way?
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a lot of fun, and honestly, that's the largest part of my job in the beginning. You know, we don't start playing until 21, so my biggest job over these next 12, 14 months or so, and depending on COVID, it could be a lot longer than that. But it's going to be getting out into the community, getting this community and this fan base fired up, and there is already just so much passion and so much excitement for this team in Seattle. I was able to go out there during my interview process. My fiance came with me. We were looking at apartments and stuff like that, and just everybody was telling us, you know, oh, you're picking a great time to move here. You know, there's a new hockey team coming. You know that we've got all this stuff coming. Unbeknownst to them, I was actually interviewing for the hockey team. But the entire city and the entire area is just so excited. They are so happy. The passion that the staff and the entire front office has from Seattle for bringing pro hockey back to Seattle. You mentioned all all those years ago. It was 1917, 1918. The Metropolitans were the first American team to win the Stanley Cup out of Seattle. So there is a rich pro hockey history there. It's not been there for a while, but you've got major junior teams in the Western Hockey League with Everett and Seattle not too far away. Obviously, Tri-City and Spokane, Portland, all those teams are within driving distance of Seattle. You've got Wenatchee, who plays in the BCHL. So you do have some junior hockey there. However, to be able to bring a winter sport back to Seattle, obviously the Sonics left a long time ago, and it's going to be exciting. And there's going to be so many community events, so many speaking engagements, web content, video content, tons of shaking hands and kissing babies, if you will, to really just to continue to build up this this keg, if you will, this powder keg of excitement in Seattle for this team.
You know, Everett, we're going through an interesting, time right now, in addition to COVID. And you and I were a part of a podcast about it maybe a month or so ago, maybe a little bit longer, with the different broadcasters around the league. There's a lot of racial discrimination going on in our country. You have now opened the door, being the first. And I mean, I don't know if it's hit you yet of how big a part of history you are, but how has it affected you over your life, and especially being in a hockey, which, there's, as you mentioned, and you've talked about this many times, you are the guy. You're the broadcaster, not many black players in the league. How much do you hope that you getting this job not only opens up the door for more, African-American players to join the league, but broadcasters as well? You're the stage setter here, my friend. So tell me exactly, what your plan is and how has that affected you over your lifetime? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you were discriminated?
I've been very fortunate that my time in hockey especially has been marked by tons of great people. I've never experienced anything too heinous. I mean, you always get the odd comment from time to time, but I've been very, very fortunate that everyone that I've come across, either fans, my colleagues, folks from the NHL on down that I've been fortunate enough to meet, have been nothing but kind and welcoming and warm and accepting. Having said that, I mean, as a black man in America, you do experience some of those things, and I've experienced a lot of that stuff, some of that stuff outside of what I do. But for me, I've always said that you never set out to be the trailblazer. I don't think that's ever the goal. However, if you can be in a position, and if you find yourself in a position where you can help to bring along that next generation, if you can help to inspire and encourage and mentor and tutor and teach and all of that, I think you are required to take on that responsibility. I am so fortunate for the opportunities that I've earned and for the things that have happened to me. But I've been saying this all week. I hope, and I better not be the last. I hope that I'm not the last. I better not be the last. And I better not be the first for a while. I hope that there is some kid, broadcaster, journalist, writer, reporter, producer, somebody that I've yet to meet who is clicking on my heels, ready to take their spot right next to me in hockey or in an area that historically people have said wasn't for them. Growing up in Detroit, obviously we're hockey town, but I got into hockey because Mike Greer and George the Rock played on the Oilers, and there were two black faces who looked like me. And as an 8, 9, 10-year-old kid growing up, that was huge. I didn't have a lot of influences in hockey, a lot of black influences in hockey that I could look up to. So for me to be able to serve that purpose and to serve that generation and it's huge. And it takes a village, right? It's one of those things where I don't plan on getting to the NHL and kicking up my heels and saying, well, I made it. This is it. I'm done. Good luck, everybody else. This is something that I really hope that there are more after me, and whatever I can do to help, that next generation, if I can help foster that love for the game that I have in someone else. I mean, to me, that's what's important. Obviously, I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to be able to go into Seattle and to be able to achieve my NHL dream and my goal. However, if I can't do something for someone else in the process, this is all for naught, because we need to look out for each other. Tommy, you know as well as anybody that as broadcasters, this is a very small fraternity, and we look out for one another, and it's the exact same thing. You have to look out for the people who are trying to follow in your footsteps and to get where you are.
Willie O'Ree is a great ambassador for the game, and obviously he does so much still. I mean, he's not a young, what do they call a spring chicken anymore, but he's still out there all the time, doing what he does and spreading the word and hopefully growing our sport to all races, which is, I think, what we hope. How much are you planning on doing that when you get to Seattle, reaching out to the to the inner city and talking to kids and telling them about the game of hockey and how great it is and your love and your passion of growing up in Detroit?
Like I said, I think that's going to be one of my biggest jobs in the early going. There is going to be so many community events and just so much reaching out to the community. I've talked to Kyle Boyd, who runs up their youth hockey and initiatives, and he and I are going to be, daily, weekly, out in the community, out in every Boys and Girls Club we can find, every Lions Club, every booster club, every PTA meeting, you name it. We are going to get out in the community. Seattle being such a diverse city, not only is the organization talking the talk, but they're walking the walk as well. The organization is very, very diverse. You've got 54% of the executive vice presidents in the organization are female. I want to say around north of 40% of the entire front office are people of color or female. So really trying to embrace the racial diversity, the gender diversity within the organization, and set that tone of where we as a sport and we as a society want to go. The NHL has done a nice job over the past couple of years of their diversity initiatives and trying to embrace their diversity. And there's still a long way to go. We're not there yet, but I think it's something that Seattle, the Kraken, are putting the league on notice in terms of, we want to do things the right way. We want an organization, we want a team that is representative of our city, of our town, of our community. And it's going to be on us as a staff to go out there and to get those fans. So I'm looking forward to going, like you said, into the inner cities. I'm looking forward to reaching out to some of these populations and to some of these people who otherwise would never go to a hockey game, would never be able to understand just how great our game is. And that is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Have you heard from any of the other NHL broadcasters that have reached out to you, whether social media, call or what have you, congratulating you on being the first ever voice of the Seattle Kraken?
Yeah, I've heard from so many people, and you never try to get starstruck in our position because, obviously you're in the media and as the old saying goes, no cheering in the press box. So, I've been very, very, very fortunate and lucky over my career to have met some pretty amazing people. I was very blessed to meet Wayne Gretzky at the ECHL All-Star Classic a few years back. I've met the likes of Mark Messier at meetings before, and I've met coaches. And so you don't really get starstruck a lot, but when it's someone that you look up to and that you've been listening to for years, you can't help but get those goosebumps. I've heard from Jack Michaels at Edmonton. Josh Bogorod sent me a very nice message on Facebook, or on email, I should say. Tim Saunders, the voice of the Flyers, reached out to me. Dan Dunleavy, the Buffalo Sabres broadcasters, reached out to me. I've gotten social media messages from Ray Ferraro and Elliot Free Friedman, David Amber have all said nice things. Doc Emmerich shot me a text message. I actually have a call with Doc Everett coming up here later on to pick his brain about a few things. So, you know, being able to have those guys as a resource and people who were in this position not too long ago, some of them maybe a while ago, but not forgetting where they came from, not forgetting that younger generation is great. Obviously, I don't think this opportunity happens without John Walton for the Capitals, you know, allowing me to step into his broadcast booth and to do that preseason game a couple of years ago. He was the first person to call me. I shot him a text message the day before the announcement was going to be made public, and he was broadcasting a Capitals game. He called me at the intermission and said, if you think I was going to wait until the end of the game to call you and congratulate you, you are crazy. So he was the first one to reach out to me. Alex Faust out in LA reached out to me as well. So just a ton of great people and so many, like I said, warm messages. And it's been really, really nice and really, really humbling to hear from a lot of those people that I've been listening to for years now as a broadcaster.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great. I'm glad they did. I was hoping that you would tell me you heard from a lot.
Yep.
I think that's fantastic. You mentioned a lot of great names there, and I think the one thing, Fitzy, you look at, you know, even NBCSN, what they're doing with a lot of the playoff games. You're hearing a lot of the young broadcasters getting an opportunity to join that mix. And I know it's not going to be too far down the road. I'm going to tune into a hockey game at night, and I'm going to hear, welcome to wherever, welcome to Buffalo and HSBC Arena. I'm Everett Fitzhugh, and I'll be so envious, but I'll also be very proud because I'll say I know that guy, and he's a great guy inside and out. Again, so very happy for you. I know the fellow broadcasters around the league, we're all very, very proud, but I say this, I mean this, I love you, man. You have been such a good friend. From the first time I met you, we clicked immediately, and we had such a great conversation. And I words can't describe. I think we're all very envious of where you are, but I think you give a lot of the young broadcasters around our league just that hope that one day they'll be there too. And I know you're going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear your first game. I know whether it's 14 months down the road from now or a year and a half, we don't know, like you said, because of COVID.
Yeah.
But nobody can take this title away from you, my friend. You are the first, and now you are the voice of the Seattle Kraken.
Thank you very much, man. That means a lot to me, and I cannot thank you enough, obviously, for your friendship and your tutelage and all of that over these past few years. And that means a lot to me. And like I said, I'm so very happy, and I'm so very excited and blessed to be able to do this. And you never, ever forget where you came from. So the ECHL is always going to be, a very, very special place in my heart. So I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me these last 5 years, man.
Fitzy, thanks for doing this. Best of luck, and we'll see you very soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tommy.